Good day, class, and welcome back again to my channel. So, for this session, what we will be discussing would be the relationship between business and society. Again, I'm Professor Dale C. Eason, CPA, CTT. So, in this chapter, we will be talking about 5 learning objectives. The first one is that we will discuss the complexity of the interrelationship between business and society. Second, we will analyze the main approaches to ethical thinking and evaluate Canadian business system. The third is to explain the role of corporations and identify 3 stakeholders responsible for operation of Canadian business. The fourth one will be to understand the relationship between business and academic integrity. And last would be to analyze the integration of business and society and recognize that business operate with the consent of the society. So let's define what business is first. So as mentioned below, the legitimacy of business is increasingly being shaped by a broader sense of values that includes treatment of employees, respect for the environment, commitment to product safety, and public health. So the first bullet point here talks about treatment of employees. Here, what we're trying to say is, how do we actually deal with our employees? Is there employee empowerment? Are we recognizing or voicing out the concerns of our employees? The second and fourth one, the respect for environment and public health. This is more in relation to how do we actually operate our business. Let's say we are the business of manufacturing. So are we making sure, or are we trying our best in minimizing our carbon outputs? Okay. And last would be your commitment to product safety. So all of our finished products, when it comes to the hands of for the end user, are we making sure, okay, that this is in compliance with the product safety, in that in case of breakages, it won't cause any harm to our customers. So these 4 points are the 4 senses of our values, which actually are very helpful in our business operations. Next, we have here integrity. So integrity, as defined, it is the appropriateness of a corporation's behavior and its adherence to moral guidelines acceptable to society, such as honesty, fairness, and justice. So its integrity is actually how we level out the playing field. As DeGeorge says, acting with integrity means both acting in accordance with one's own self-accepted norms of behavior, as well as accepting the enormous demanded by ethics and moral integrity, does not mean moral perfection. These 2 things are in no way the same. Furthermore, below are your fundamental points about integrity and business. So ethics exist throughout society and are not unique to business. Again, just to define, ethics is determining, okay, from someone's point of view, what is right from wrong. What is right for you might be wrong in someone's eyes, while something you consider wrong doing might be okay or acceptable in the social norms of other users. Okay? Business ethics is meant to mean ethics that apply to business. There's no separate law or code of ethics of business. The rules, standards, codes, or principles that provide guidance for morally appropriate behavior in managerial decision making relate to the operation of a business enterprise within society. So with all of these integrations, like this integrity, the product commitment, product safety, public health, treatment of employees, so this also may be governed under the CSR, or the corporate social responsibility and sustainability. So this is a way a corporation achieves a balance among its economical, social, and environmental responsibilities in its operations so as to address stakeholder expectations. To define, corporate social responsibility is wherein you demonstrate the inclusion of social and environmental in business operations as they may impact stakeholders to ensure the long-term survival of the corporation. Although it has a wide meaning, including economic, ethical, and social responsibilities as well. So the main difference from CSR is that the responsibilities are completely integrated to the structure, politics, and operations of the corporations. So you might be wondering, what's a perfect example of a corporate social responsibility? Okay, so social responsibility is not actually a required task by a business or by an organization. These are voluntary in nature. So why do this corporation do this? Okay, on their own free will is they want to give back to the society. Okay, so the most common corporate social responsibility activity that corporations do would be your tree planting. Okay, going to the isolated areas of the country or of the region and doing outreach programs there. Okay, so in that case, that is those activities are non-profit generating activities. However, these are where the values of the company comes in. Okay, if they are the company who is saying they want to go give back to the community, then of course if they want the public, okay, or just the employees among them, if they want to exercise this, then this means that they're giving out a hand, okay, and actually helping our community, okay, through these activities. Integrity of business. Ethics apply to business in the same manner as they do in any other institution in society. The appropriateness of behavior is examined in terms of the ethical implications of addressing issues or decisions and of the distribution of harms and benefits to the relevant stakeholders. Integrity results in responsible corporation, a business undertaking the response to social, ethical, and environmental responsibilities in addition to its economic obligations. With that being said, we'll now focus our attention here to the rule-based theories. So rule-based theories is any system involving a clear set of rules is a form of deontology, which is why some people call it a rule-based ethic. The Ten Commandments is an example, as it is the universal declaration of human rights. So most deontologists say that there are two different kinds of ethical duties. That would be your perfect and imperfect duties. A perfect duty is inflexible. Do not kill innocent people is an example of a perfect duty. You can't obey it a little bit. Either you kill innocent people or you don't. There's no middle ground. So perfect duty, as mentioned here, is inflexible. So it's either a yes or a no. It's either you do it or you don't do it. Okay. There's no option in between. Okay. You can say I'm doing yes, but partly I'm also doing no. All right. So between these two options, you have to select one. It's either you do it or you don't. On the other hand, imperfect duties allow for some middle ground. So again, perfect duties here, you don't have any other option but to select option A or option B. While here, the imperfect duties, you have an option, okay, to perform a third choice. So learn about the world around you is an imperfect duty because we can all spend different amounts of time on education and each be fulfilling of our obligation. How much we commit to imperfect duties is up to us. Our reason for doing the right thing, okay, is also important. We should do our duty for no other reason than because it's the right thing to do. Here, in the imperfect duties, you actually have the capacity to assess what's in front of you. Given that you are assessing an object, and so many ideas will come in, you will have the opportunity to select in which approach will you be selecting in performing this kind of activity. So for the theory duty of deontology, obeying the rules for self-interest because it will lead to better consequences or even because it makes us happy is not, for deontologists, an ethical reason for acting. We should be motivated by our respect for the moral law itself. They also require us to follow universal rules we give to ourselves. These rules must be in accordance with reason. In particular, They must be logically consistent and not give rise to contradictions. One way of resolving this problem is through an idea called threshold deontology. In this case, it argues that we should always obey the rules unless in an emergency, at which point we should revert to a consequentialist approach. So if you can see here the last bullet point, we can argue, okay, that we should always obey the rules. Okay, always obey the rules sounds like it is like a perfect duty, right? However, there's a caveat here. It says unless in an emergency, at which point we should revert to our consequentialist approach. So the first point here, obey the rules, this sounds like more of a perfect duty, while the latter sounds more of an imperfect duty, because this is where professional judgment will come in, okay, and it will allow you for some middle ground. So now capitalism, you might be hearing this word a lot or numerous times. So now let's just define it first. So capitalism is an economic system that allows for private ownership of the means of production, i.e. your labor, land, and capital, and assumes that economic decision-making is in the hands of the individuals or enterprises who make the decisions. So for the purposes of our discussions, we have three capitalism types. That will be your free enterprise system, laissez-faire capitalism, and responsible enterprise system. Free enterprise system, okay, this is the ownership of private property by individuals and enterprises, the profit motive, a competitive market system, and limited involvement by the government. Laissez-faire capitalism, in here, it is an economic system operating with absolute minimum interference by the government in the affairs of business. Government involvement, strictly limited to providing essential services such as police and fire protection. The last type of our capitalism would be the responsible enterprise system. In here, this is an economic system operation as a free enterprise system but incorporate elements of accountability. So what is actually corporation and the business system? So there are a few points here, but the main gist of this is that a business can be established and operated by an individual under very few legal requirements. So there are three types of business organization. You would have your sole proprietorship. The definition of a sole proprietorship is that it is owned by one person, and that one person, the owner, most of the time it's also the operator of the business. Okay. Sole proprietorship in here, the owner is also the investor, meaning whatever the cash or whatever the investment that the owner puts into the business, that would be the assets or the capital that will be used by the business operations. Since this is only owned by one person, then it means that the owner will enjoy the profits 100%, and if it incurs any losses, it will be assumed only by the owner. Second type of business organization would be your partnership. The difference between sole proprietorship and partnership is that a partnership is governed by two or more persons. Okay, so these two or more owners have responsibilities and are assuming tasks based on their contract. The main advantage of this when it comes to sole proprietorship is that if there are more people in the partnership, then it means more assets are pooled and can be invested in the company. The last type of your business organization would be your corporation. So this is a more formal organization because this might be part of the Securities and Exchange Commissions, and ownership of this one could be through sale of shares. Okay. Anyway, a corporation is also a separate legal entity and a living person separate from the organization. So there are two concepts that determine this legitimacy and social license. Okay. Also, in any other organization, trust in business is always a factor. Society attitude. So these two observations are important from the discussion of society attitudes toward business. The attitudes, in particular, criticisms, must be monitored by management. Where justified and feasible, management should take action to counter negative views of business. In this slide, what we're talking about here is that in case the business is faced with bashings, criticism, negative opinion by the public or by journalists, how do the business actually respond to it? Okay, so this is where in the crisis management team comes in. We are what doing here? We are minimizing the impact of the risk, okay? That whatever the opinion that was laid out to the public, okay, how do we actually address it in order that it won't be detrimental to our business operations? Furthermore, social license is the privilege of operating in society with minimal formalized restrictions, that is legislation, regulation, or market requirements. So of course, there are numerous factors that might influence our attitudes towards business. Although what we aim as managers or as owners of a business is that we generate profits, right? But in certain situation, we are faced in potential issues, okay, that might be a bottleneck in us achieving our desired goal. So what we have here would be the standard of living, decentralized decision making, allocation of resources, and self-interest. Standard of living, it is a prominent argument used in justifying or supporting the business enterprise system as a standard of living that it provides. As the standard of living increases, the more society will view business in a positive manner. In a decentralized decision making, millions of businesses make decisions independently of one another, ensuring that a wide variety of goods and services are. In the allocation of resources, some argue that the efficient allocation of resources is more likely to occur with the business system, as allocation is based on the price and availability of resources. So in the allocation of resources class, this is where economics already comes in, right? So your demand and supply theory. Self-interest, it acts as a motivator and provides the drive for profit that encourages individuals to get things done. In a competitive business enterprise system, consumers choose among businesses that provide the same goods and services. In order for us to achieve our maximum potential, of course, we have to hone our skills. So it requires a variety of skills to oversee the operations of corporations in today's dynamic business environment. Of course, today, technology is rapidly increasing. The disruption into technology, the development of AI, process automation, and cybersecurity. Every day, technology changes. Hence, we always should be able to adapt. So managers must know how to direct corporation affairs in an increasingly competitive environment and how to cope with large-scale change. Technological developments and the globalization of business represent additional challenges. Social contract is one way to describe the relationship between business and society. So it is a two-way understanding wherein we categorize the relationship between business and society. With this, society has increased its expectations of business relating to social, ethical, and environmental responsibilities. So, as mentioned, whatever we do in our business has a direct impact in our society. Okay, so if we are a manufacturing entity, okay, let's say in a land, in the farm, if our waste, okay, if our waste process, how we discharge our waste, our trash, is not of good quality, then this would have a direct impact in the society through the farmlands. Okay? So the complex relationship of business to society becomes evident when expressed in terms of a system concept. The idea of the system provides a means of understanding the dynamic variability of business interactions with either parts of the society. Of course, with that being said, there are also subsystems that make as interrelated whole. A system such as individual business is also part of a larger system, which is part of an even larger system, and so on, until all interrelated parts have been joined in terms of the largest known system. In here, what we are trying to say that if we are situated in a small town, this small town is part of a province, and this province is part of a country. When one refers to a smaller system in relation to a longer one, the system is called a subsystem. The system concept suggests that the most productive analytical approach for understanding system is so to begin one's analysis from the view of as large as possible, because the view gives a clear understanding of the role and the contribution of all the systems involved. This is one of the reasons why business should give more attention to the relations with its broad social environment. And the second bullet point, what they're trying to say here is that the companies, whenever possible, although voluntarily, should adhere, okay, or should have the synergy in performing corporate social responsibilities. So the dynamic and stabilizing tendencies. As mentioned, a social system is understood to be dynamic. Of course, because of the changes that happens almost every day, right? The advancements into the technologies, the disruptions in the environments. This is one of the most important characteristics. People contribute to this dynamism because they are living, thinking, and active beings. Despite its dynamic nature, a social system tends to operate in some degree of equilibrium, which means a degree of accommodation and working harmony both among its parts with its external environment. A business needs to maintain satisfactory equilibrium, okay, or being constant, both internally and externally, in order to survive and make reasonable progress towards its objective. The word equilibrium means in the constant state or being balanced. Businesses, when necessary, or if not all of the time, should be viable. Viability means that it means the drive to live and grow, to accomplish potential not yet reached, and to achieve all that living system can become. So if you're familiar with the concept of Kaizen is a Japanese term. So it means that every day that we are living, we should always be improving. Okay? People bring viability to the business system. They seek growth. Thus, the system which they operate can move beyond simple maintenance and achieve growth in the quality and quantity of its services it renders in the world of hunger and ignorance. Growth has become a key focus for social development. Let's just say, for an example, if today, okay, we don't know anything about a certain topic yet, okay, if every day, okay, we read or we research on the interested topic that we are, okay, if we research on this one, then it means that we're gaining knowledge, right? And if you do this every day, just through research, if you're collaborating with other people, interviewing subject matter experts on your desired topic, then it means that your knowledge on this specific topic just snowballs and accumulates. At the end of the day, since you have already been learning these new things about this topic that you're interested in, it might be possible that if on day one you have zero knowledge about this topic, but then again every day that passes, okay, you do something to improve or to further understand this idea or this topic, then it's possible that on day 100 you already have 99% or if not 100% knowledge of the topic that you want or you're interested in. Same thing as well with what we are doing right now in the college. We are in the course Introduction to Business Concepts. Okay? We are just on our first week of lecture. So our objective is each week that we are meeting, each week also that we should learn new things. So by the end of the semester, we should be able to know already these topics that we were able to cover for the past weeks. Okay? So that's also the example of business viability. Every day we learn, every day we grow. Ultimately, all of this accumulated knowledge would be helpful for us in making our decisions and assessing our performance. Here, we are interfaced with an external environment. A system, such as an individual business, relates to other business and social groups throughout society. The area of contact between one system and another is the same interface. Areas of the interface are important because they are sources of inputs into the system, and it gives additional resources and provides it with information feedback, which enables it to take corrective action and to maintain equilibrium or balance with its environment. So public visibility. So this concept is actually how we want public to be perceived by us. So it refers to the extent that organizations' activities are known to persons outside the organization. The activities may be directly observed. Furthermore, it can also be indirectly communicated by news media, neighbor, and other sources. The importance of public visibility is that it makes business activities subject to public examination, discussion, and judgment. If acts are not known, they cannot be judged. So what we have here are the values. So what are actually the values of our business? Okay? So overriding all business systems relationship is the fact that business operates in an environment of social values, both those of society and those which business has. For an individual business, values derives from a multitude of sources, such as the mission of the business, social association, institution, the nation or which the business has located, the type of industry in which it is active, and the nature of its employees. Perfect example of this one is, are we actually practicing the concept of employee empowerment? Employee empowerment means that are the ideas or are the recommendations of our employees being heard? Okay, or actually are we giving them the liberty in performing their tasks based on their own free will? Okay, are not they, meaning that they are not just following the instructions, but we are telling them to integrate some of their ideas, okay, behind their tasks, because that might be helpful for them when performing their activities. So all the discussions can lead us to the decision that we really need to have serious thought and study about the relationship between business and society. So why do we actually need this? Okay, so one way to understand the importance of engagement is to look at what can happen when it's not done. Customers see a company as unresponsive to their needs, employees feel unappreciated, If you don't have employee empowerment, suppliers lose trust in a company, communities become uncooperative, and investors get nervous. So, what you do to remediate this is that we should be engaged in including and performing social capital, eliminating, if not reducing risk, and fueling innovation. So in the next slide, we will show you the stakeholder steps. So typically, this is what the approach that we can take, okay, in order to address the risks that were just mentioned on the previous slide. So we should be informative, okay? We should update, or we should let know to the public what is the objective of our business operations. Second, we should be open to any consultation, right? Let's hear the feedback of our customers, okay, of the society. Third, we should involve, okay, if when necessary, the public, okay, for based on our consultation, if they have any feedback or recommendations on how to approach a certain activity, then if possible, can we actually involve it or incorporate it in our business operations? Collaborate. So we should be in partnership with the public, because of course at the end of the day, we are doing this business operations for the sake of selling our services or goods to the consumers or the end users. So if you work directly with them, we know, or we have an idea of what they like and what to expect. And if we deliver these goods to us based on their preference, then we have a better chance that we will be able to have a good result in terms of our selling of our goods and services. And of course, as I've mentioned lots of times already, let's empower our society and also our employees. So why do we actually need to be informative? Why do we need to consult? Why do we have to involve and collaborate with the public? And why do we have to have a sense of empowerment? So if we do this, we build social capital. And when you have social capital, you are able to facilitate coordination and cooperation. Okay? You are able to maintain the social license to operate. And you have the access to information and intelligence regarding stakeholder positions. You are being supported for company's operations, and you may receive the benefit of the doubt should unexpected issues arise. So if you do this, you have your public behind your back, okay? So they're actually looking out for you. In addition to this, you also reduce or eliminate risk, okay? Because if you know the risks that is in front of you, and if you are collaborating or involving the public, okay, then you would know like what would be the bottlenecks or what will be the hurdles that you should cross. So it helps us to identify emerging issues. It reduces the probability of having to make costly investments to address unforeseen issues. Also, you are able to fuel innovation. Innovation means constantly improving. It helps to identify business opportunities. If you have more avenues of business, then it means that you have the potential to earn more. And you will be able to revise and develop new products and services to better meet the demands of customers and clients. And that's the wrap for this chapter, the relationship between business and society. If you have any questions, feel free to comment it or raise it through one of our live classes. Thank you.